It was obviously a tale of two halves. You know, I thought our defense was tremendous in the first half, which allowed us to get out and run, kind of play a free-flowing game, which I think is our strength. Loved our pace. And then obviously, you know, the skids hit pretty good for a bit there to start the second half, which you don't like to see. Obviously, they got hot from three, so we had to make some adjustments there. But more than anything, I was proud of our guys' response, not only to that moment that I was just talking about in the second half, but just more importantly, just kind of where we're at in our season. You know, after having some tough losses that really stung. You know, I was happy with our guys' collective response.
Season high for Dallin Holland in that second half. He looked emotional in a good way after making some threes and other plays. What did you think of his second half, and how important was that for him?
I thought Dallin and Yegor's collective leadership as lead ball handlers was the reason we won the game. You know, I thought they were composed. I thought they, specific to Dallin, I thought and think that he is just very adaptable. You know, I'm putting him in, different lineup combinations. Sometimes he's out there with Yegor, sometimes he's not. I think he's just been very. He wants us to win. You know, and so he's accepted whatever role I've thrown at him. So I was happy to see him make some huge shots. I love the aggressive Dallin. You know, so whatever we can do to pull that out of him, I think is where my mind goes to mostly with him.
Following up on that, Yegor, seemed like he was on the attack to get his shot going. Then he started to gain some rhythm offensively. What are your thoughts on Yegor and how he performed that second half? Maybe this can carry over, you think, going forward? Yeah,
I mean, I think Yegor has 3 games in a row where I've been happy with his offensive performance. You know, tonight he had some shot, that 1-3 that went down, which is a big one, and kind of to get that sort of monkey off of his back, But I just, he's got a lot of pressure on him. You know, he's a young guy with a boatload of upside, with a lot of noise around him, and I think he's handling it well. You know, I think it was something he needed to go through, that tough skid. I was happy with his response. I thought he played with the chip on his shoulder, which I liked to see. But again, I think he's played a good offensive game the last 3 games. Wasn't able to kind of have the box score that would necessarily say that. But when you watch the tape, outside of his turnovers, I think he's played well. So I think he's figuring things out, honestly. I think he's figuring out some of these Big 12 defenses and how aggressive they are and how he can, find ways to punish it.
When they cut it to 3 in the second half, what got things going the right way again?
I thought our composure. I thought our composure was good. I think, and I think this has been the story of our entire season. That just, I thought we got the right lineup combinations out there. I thought that really helped, and that's obviously, I think it's obvious at this point, but that's something that we're continuing to evaluate and try to get right. Just having the right groups out there for the entire game.
Speaking of lineup combinations, why did you kind of want to take Richie, give him a break, kind of extended rest to like 13-minute mark, then to the 6-minute mark? Like, what was kind of going through your mind there?
Yeah, just trying to. That was kind of when he normally comes out, but then that group I put in just got rolling, so I just stayed with it.
Would you make him a Witt's first start in particular? It felt like your offense kind of fed off the defense in the first half.
Yeah, it did. I just love it. I think his just intensity is really infectious for our group. He just knows how to make plays on that defensive end, and then offensively he knows who he is. He's a guy that can, doesn't try to play outside of his strengths, and I think to have that level of self-awareness, I think that speaks to his obviously his experience, his veteranness. But yeah, I think he's been really good for us of late.
How did you feel about the tempo? Oklahoma State seems to be a more up-tempo team than some other Big 12 squads, but just maybe the pace that you guys played at tonight, did it just feel more like what you're accustomed to?
I thought in the first half the difference is why we got up so big is, one, we were getting stops, but even when they did make it, they couldn't catch up with the ball. The ball moves faster than the pass moves faster than the dribble, and I thought we were kicking the ball ahead. Something we talked about a lot going into the game. I thought, to have 18 assists on 27 makes, I think says a lot about how we played offensively, and then I thought we had them spread out, to the point where we were driving some of those closeouts, getting 27 free throw attempts as well. So, for me, the frustrating part offensively is having 14 turnovers, even though that's what they do. I thought probably 6 of those were us just throwing the ball away. That had nothing to do with, their defense. can get the turnover thing into that manageable, probably 10 to 12 range night in and night out, I think that's when we will really be humming. I thought our shooting performance tonight is more on par with like what we have in our locker room as far as knocking shots down at the clip that we did.
How do you feel Cannon responded to first time coming off the bench and his response to when you let him know that there was going to be a lineup change?
Yeah, I love Cannon. The guy's extremely coachable. He does what I ask him to do. And so that says a lot about a young guy, especially when it's as highly touted as he is. Is he happy with playing 7 minutes tonight? No. Now, a large part of that was because let me be clear, that was because he got in foul trouble. Going into the game, boys said, hey, let's play Cannon 7 minutes. He picked up the 3 fouls, had the weird, I don't even know what that was, to be honest with you. There was some head scratchers, officiating-wise. Good crew, but it was just some weird moments. But anyways, so that got him a little off the rail as far as what the plan was going into the game. But I was happy with the way he came in. He had that huge block on the other end. I wish that 3 in front of our bench would have gone down for him. But, he's going through it a little bit right now. I think it's part of, being a young guy and having to just learn. And so he hasn't sulked. He hasn't pouted. He's still working hard. And, I expect big things from him.
Do you think this team needed a win like this after the 3-game losing streak?
We just needed a win, period. I don't know if I would say like this. I actually was glad. It's easy to say it when you win, but the fact that it wasn't just a blowout, we had to have some grit to get it done. That was good. But look, man, I told our guys this. I think I might have said this somewhere along the way, media-wise, but I live in reality, and so we were on 3-game skid. Okay, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I feel like one more made 3, we get Texas Tech. One less turnover, we get TCU. You can rewind, and one less turnover, you get Ole Miss. And all of a sudden you're a top 20 team. We're not though, right? And so, but I just wanted our guys to have perspective of hey, the sky's not falling. We're a really good basketball team. Hasn't gone our way. You got 2 choices. You either shrivel up and die, or you freaking figure it out. And I thought, the response I saw from our guys, was a step in the right direction of figuring it out.
What do you know about the BYU-Utah rivalry as you navigate these college waters, and what do you know about this rivalry and just maybe what lies ahead this weekend?
Yeah, I know all about it. I grew up in the South. Some of you guys know that, and back then it was like Big Monday on ESPN, and so I would stay up in my basement and watch games. There was always 3 games on. It was 7 on Eastern, 7, 9, and 11, and that's how I even watched BYU games back in the day. It was never a huge BYU guy, but they are always on late, and I'm just staying up late and watching, the old BYU teams play, and obviously very familiar with how much this game means and stuff and so forth. And then even as a professional coached several guys that played at the U, I should say. So I know what it's about. I don't think I personally don't make a whole lot of those types of things. We got to go up there and get a win regardless. But I'm sure it'll be fun, and obviously having Kaba. Is he the ultimate trader going from Utah to BYU? So I'm sure he'll have an earful up there in Burgess as well. So it'll be fun, man.
2 more questions.
How did you feel about the veteran leadership? I think 51 of your 85 points came from Richie, Dallin, Foose tonight.
That was good. I thought it was. And look, man, I'm very aware of what we've done here this year. Bringing in 2 freshmen and playing them a boatload of minutes, I'm very aware of what we're doing, and so there's growing pains that come with that. As talented as young guys are, they're still young guys. You know what I mean? And so I think it's been somewhat calculated as far as kind of how we've approached things. I think it's good for the young guys to have the experiences they've had, and then to see some of the veteran guys carrying a little bit of a bigger load right now. I think that helps us in the long run. I echo what I've said before. I'm interested in the best version of Yegor and Cannon in March. Now, obviously, we have to put ourselves in a position for that to matter, obviously. And so I think our group has handled it well. I love how connected our team is, and getting this win based on, to your question, what we went through, I think will tie us even closer together.
Last question.
Plus 12 rebounding. Do you like the effort on the glass today?
Yeah, no, I did. I still think there was a couple too many offensive rebounds they had. Would have liked to seen us grab a few more, but You know, rebounding and I think the key to our season is just rebounding and turnovers. Period. The game is really not that complicated. I'm not that smart. It's just a math game, though. You get more shots than the other team, you're probably going to win the game most nights. And so we put a ton of emphasis in rebounding on both ends of the floor. We talk a lot about how we think we can limit our turnovers. And as I mentioned before, if we can get those things right, then we're a pretty dangerous team.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.